I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Oh, it's been pinched! It has been pinched, and it's the Rocket, isn't it? It's Jensen! It's Ron Jensen!
It's 25, it's scored! Huddersfield will surely be going to Wembley!
Has he got the legs? Has he got the legs?
It's in a goal!
He's getting it for the Giants!
Will he have the legs? He's got Hodgson with him. Danny Brock is deceptively quick for a halfback. Is he going to go all the way? They've got the numbers out wide here of Huddersfield. They have got the man out wide. It's McGilvray for the corner, and McGilvray is in.
Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Talking with Giants. They've got enough fans to start a podcast, incredulous Wealdstone Raider types of parochial clubs with a few thousand fans yell. Yes, we have. Just about. Only sports fans in this fair town of Huddersfield could start podcasts on the back of a 0% winning record, but here we are. Are there better times around the corner, or will starting this podcast lead to a dreadful downturn in fortunes like the last time I helped start one of these things? Joining myself, Matt, no, not that one, sure. I have a darts commentator legend. He's good, but he's not Rod Studd. It's Josh Phillips. And joining myself and Josh are two fans famed for their ability to agree on all things Giants related. It's Nathaniel Wood and Jake Rowland. So good evening, everybody. How are we doing?
Good evening, good, thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm good, very good. How are you all?
Very good.
Cheers for the intro, Matt. Good to be here. Looking forward to this.
Good. So we are, of course, in association with the FIFA FOFOM Giants fanzine, of course. So thanks to Eddie over there for letting us use that platform to go forward. So, chaps, I thought a good way to start this podcast would be to just explain a little bit about ourselves, who we are, and to give anyone that listens, obviously we've got no fans, so that might not be anybody, a little insight into who we are and why we've bothered to start this. So, shall I go first? You guys, you happy with that?
Yeah, go on.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So for me, my journey with rugby league. Okay, so during middle school, a mate of mine was really keen on playing rugby league in the playground. When summer comes around, you move onto the grass and Bulldogs charge all of a sudden becomes with a ball, pretty much. And around about that time, there was a strange... I grew up supporting Huddersfield Town. I was taken to watch, or brainwashed to go watch Huddersfield Town from a young age. And from there, a really strange club, a new club, moved into the old Leeds Road just as it was closing down, who played with a funny shaped ball. And it just all tied up together with, playing at school and Huddersfield Giants. And I took a bit of a notice of Huddersfield Giants ever since. And then once they sent me that free ticket for Huddersfield versus Whitehaven, I was hooked, at the new stadium. So I did grow up in the shadow of Odsal during Bull Mania as well. So it was... it was easy really not to get roped into that because as a Huddersfield Town fan, sport's very tribal, isn't it? And then it didn't really make much sense. You're standing, in the middle of the 90s as well, singing You All Hate Bradford at football. And then the next day going to support a Bradford club. None of that made sense. Even though my granddad got signed by Bradford Northern back in the sort of 50s, 60s. I was never really tempted to go that side. But I do have a season ticket for the Giants. Potentially might not be able to go a lot because none of my mates really support Huddersfield Giants, so I don't have anyone to go with, which is quite sad. I also have a 3-year-old boy as well, and we've got a season ticket, but obviously with bedtimes and Thursdays and Friday nights, I'm not sure how many games I'll get to go to, but I'll definitely be tuning in as best we can. So that's really my sort of story from there. And that mate that that started playing rugby league at school did actually end up playing for Huddersfield Giants, but I think he ended up playing for the reserves in the mid-noughts, a lad called Adrian Leake. He was quite a decent player, I think, back in the day. Who wants to go next? Josh, how about you?
Yeah, go on, I'll go for it. Well, I've got my dad to blame, to be honest. He wrote me into supporting Giants and Town, which is, people are aware of the two teams now. That's has its ups and downs, to say the least. Started going when I was about 4 years old, which was 1998. And they were absolutely useless. So bad. But when you're a kid, I just want to be there, and I just fell in love with it, really. Same as I did with Sporting Town, Sporting Giants. Just always want to be down the stadium watching one or the other. And then just been ever since, season ticket holder ever since, really. I remember the 2002 season. I was 8 years old, and that was magical times. Going the season unbeaten, and then from there, it's just been watching the club steadily progress to what it is or was a few years ago. I've moved away recently, about 4 years ago, down south, so I don't get to every game anymore, but I watch every game on the TV or on stream, and I still get up for as many games as I can. And I'll always have the passion for it, hence this podcast. And as much as you try not to, you can't help but care so much. And just hope that, we can get back to where we were. But that's me.
So we'll go with you next, Nathaniel. How did Huddersfield Giants get their hooks and claws into you and get you down to that stadium? And you do also do a bit more than just support the club as well, don't you?
Yeah, so where it started, I were playing rugby at Slothwaite Saracens with a bunch of mates at about 13, 14. Carried on playing with them. I met a friend at college who was a season ticket holder, and he told me to give it a go. We played rugby together, so he says, come down, give it a go. So I think I got my first season ticket in 2007. 2007, 2008, can't remember which one. Actually, the game, we were on to Leeds, first game, and Leroy Kudrow made his debut that day. Season ticket ever since, home and away, as much as I can. During the 2011 to 2015 season, I think I went to every game without missing one. Can't do that now. I've got a missus and stuff, so that calms down a bit. But I'm also on the
hooks and claws there, definitely, isn't there, Nathaniel?
Yep, that's the one. I'm also on the committee for the Huddersfield Giants Sports Association, so we raise money for the academy team. So the stars like Darnell McIntosh and Mike English can get into the first team and play. So there's normally when the no pandemic on, we do monthly meetings at the Turnbridge Working Men's Club with guest speakers from the club. So all money raised, £5 a year, and all money raised goes to, like I said, the academy. So
what's the website for someone like me, Nathaniel, who's not a member? What's the website?
I'm not 100% sure the website, so I'll get that for you for the next one. It is the Huddersfield Giants Sports Association. They're on Twitter and Facebook, so
Easily
if anyone's on the social media, just give them a follow. If you message you, I'm sure someone will come back to you.
I forgot to say this earlier, but Josh, any sort of favourite players from the past as well, and you as well? Matt?
I'd have to go. Brett Hodgson's the best player I've seen.
Oh, he was,
play for the club.
he was on mine. Yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable, like magician. Danny Brough at his best was not far behind him, but in terms of players that you feel, like that interaction with, you can't look much further than Mr. Huddersfield, Earl Crabtree. I have to say, he's been playing from ever since, until recently.
You've just picked the same three I've got on my list here as well. The exact same three players. Maybe I like their outside right as well, Jerry and Leroy. But
well, there's so many to pick from. But Earl, I remember that 2002 season. He was playing in the centres, and then Matt Gridley worked his way towards the middle of the park and became the England prop that we know. But I'd say those three stand out.
What about you, Nath? Who's your pick of the past, or even current, if you like?
Probably the past, like I say, I probably agree with Josh. Brett Hodgson and Danny Brough, two of the best we've seen. At the minute, I've been a massive fan of Leroy ever since he first started and said he'd play for England one day, which he did. So I'd probably still say Leroy is one of my favourite. Michael Lawrence, like I said, the hometown boys who represent the club. We've quite a few in the team now, so I can see them being the fans' favourites. But massive fan of Aidan Caesar too. I think he's an outstanding player and one probably need to keep hold of.
Yeah, last not least, Jake, how are we doing over there? So how did your journey start with this club?
Yeah, similar to Josh, really. My dad took me down from a young age. Didn't really enjoy it at first. Just used to go for sweets, really, before the game. And then as I got a bit older, sort of fell in love with it. Similar to Josh as well, I go to most town games, support town from a young age. But the last few years, even in Premier League, I've just proper fallen out of love with football. For me, it's just getting worse and worse. I don't even enjoy watching it anymore on telly. If you end up turning it off halfway through, I just got no enjoyment for it whatsoever. In terms of Giants, my favourite players, probably Paul Riley in past, general hard man. And I say probably as an import, Luke O'Donnell, I thought he just had a massive impact, even though he wasn't here for long. Just the impact he had on other players around him. Just having a real enforcer. I know we claim certain players are enforcers in the recent times, but you can't honestly say they are, can you? He was a proper enforcer for me, and someone I'd love to have kept hold of for a little bit longer. Yeah.
More of an enforcer than Mr. Gavi.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Right, lads. Let's talk about the game. So Huddersfield Giants 10, St Helens 18. Not the greatest start, perhaps, but a heartwarming second half performance, I thought. How do you see that game going, Nathaniel?
I just think the first half, can't be too critical of the lads. I thought first half we just got zero ball in any good position. I think we had it 2 or 3 times into their half and we made errors on the first 3 tackles, which were disappointing. But I thought the enthusiasm, the effort, they stuck into the game, and then Jack Collar came up with a good 40-20 early on to get us on the board in the second half, and I thought you never know here, but I think the fitness just weared out a bit at the end. But to only lose by 8 when we did all that defending on the try line overall in the game, I thought it was a fantastic effort by the boys, and definitely showing signs of Ian Watson and Greg Brown of getting their hands into him now, and hopefully things will improve after that performance. I think it was his best performance of the season.
How do you see that going as well, Jake?
I think that's a fair assessment by Nathaniel, really. What disappoints me most of all is most games where we conceding early on, it's always through a stupid error. But it seems to happen game after game after game, doesn't it? I mean, St Helens, I think it were a knock-on by Gaskell, I think didn't even make an attempt to catch the ball in my eyes, which were a bit poor so early in the game. And disappointing thing is, I know I say it, some people say, oh, you're mad, but when we go 2 tries down, it's game over, don't you? Your chances of winning game against someone like St Helens is pretty slim. Yeah, we can give it a go second half, did better once second half, but at 12-0 down, that's the game gone, innit, really? Against someone like St Helens, anyway. Hull KR's a different story. I still think we should have won that game. But St Helens, at that point, 12-0 down at half-time, game's gone. It's just about what sort of game is it going to be in second half for me.
What stood out for you, Josh, from an analytical point of view in the game itself?
Well, yeah, I've been looking at the stats from this game, and it seems to back up what I thought when I was watching it, really. They had a real good dig, and in most departments, we matched St Helens. But the one that stands out for me is the average metre gain. So we only had 2 players who gained more than 8 metres per average metres per carry, whereas Saints had 7. And I thought that told the story of the game for me. I just felt like we didn't have enough go forward, which I've felt in every game so far, apart from the league game, not as much. But it feels like when Saints were turning us around and kicking, they put some really good kicks in, to be honest, and turned us around, put us in the corners. It felt like we're only going to get to 30, 40 metres and we're kicking it from there. And our kicking game hasn't been the best, without Danny Bruff to get out of trouble like we used to. But saying that, Cogger with the 40-20, he did put some good kicks in, and it was an improved kicking performance from him. But yeah, I'd say overall, it was a good performance. And as I said, they had a real good dig against Saints, and we matched them, went set for set with them. And, if Caesar puts that goal over, which we may come on to later, the conversion problem we've got, but if he puts that goal over from the McQueen try, then it's suddenly a 1-try game. It'd have been 18-12, and then, last 10 minutes, anything could happen if we only need 1 try. But when it's that 8-point gap, you do feel like they're just out of reach. But yeah, I'd say Josh Jones stood out for me. He was among the top tacklers along with Luke Yates, and he also made the most average metre gain per carry and also the most tackle busts. So I think good signs from Jones along with Yates and Cogger, which is good because they're 3 of the new signings. But Saints are a class outfit, and it was a good performance, to be fair, from us.
You make an interesting point there. I think if it does go to a 6-point game, it brings a different pressure, doesn't it, and a different momentum as well, and things kind of pick up for us. And rugby league's pretty much a game of momentum for me, whereby one team gets on top, and it's like a ball like going downhill. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's very hard to stop a lot of the time. And I agree with that fully. And it's interesting to see that about Josh Jones. Nathaniel, you've got some different, well, maybe not different, but you've got some thoughts on Josh Jones as well about maybe where he's best utilised, I would say.
Yeah, I understand that he's obviously come to the club and he said he wants to play for England at 13, so we're giving him the 13 shirt and we're sticking him at loose forward. But I believe he's better in the second row. I think a couple of years ago when Salford got to the grand final, he was on that left edge with Jackson Hastings. I think it was the left edge, and he was bouncing off tackles, and he would threat every time he touched the ball. And Jackson Hastings knew that. That's why he sniffed out back him every time. He knew the offload was going to come. And I just think that if we could just stick him onto one of the edges, maybe the right edge, because obviously we have got Kenny on the left, then we'd have two really strike weapons out wide. And like I said, Josh said he made the most average meters and tackle bus on Thursday night. And I said, I just reckon if he's out on the edge, we'd see that more often and we'd get a better Josh Jones. But obviously I understand that he wants to play 13 for England, so I get that point. But for the Giants, I think he needs to be out on an edge in the second.
Matt, do you see him as sort of playing like the Brett Ferris sort of 2013 role where he was a handful out wide on that left?
Yeah, that's it. Get him out on an edge and get him an handful. And if it's Caesar or Cogger or Gaskell, whoever's behind him, get him sniffing around. He's good for an offload as well and a tackle bust. And I just think if we do get Leroy and Jake Wardle fit and you've got him bouncing off tackles, then we'll see the best of his centres as well. I just think he's a bit wasted in the middle. So
yeah, when he makes those tackle busts up the middle, is often, he's surrounded by Saints players. So even if he does get the ball away, he's the supporting player is going to get tackled. So maybe I think you're right. He's a bit wasted in the middle. It
is in the minute as well, because I believe our best backup player is Ashton Golden, who obviously is out with a shoulder injury. So maybe it won't be so bad when Ashton's there, because he's good at backing up, as Ashton is always in and about the play. I think Gaskell just lacks that all bit when he's at fullback. Obviously, he's not a fullback; he's stepping in. So yeah, for now, I think we could do him out on the edge, and we have got Luke Yates and Michael Lawrence who could easily play loose forward for us. So I'll be tempted to stick him out wide into the second row personally.
I have to agree with that, really. Yeah, he's a big meter maker, but it is worrying that he's our biggest meter maker at the same time. For me, problem is, no matter who we put at prop forward to start a game, I don't think it can match any of the top five. Whichever combo we go with, I don't think they're good enough to match the top five. Like Walmsley is head and shoulders above anyone into at prop forward at the moment. And difference for me was when he left the field the other day, you can just tell Saints that same team without him. And I just don't think we've got that intensity to match the top, the forwards, real top big blokes that can play at a speed. And I think that's why we come up short first 20 minutes all the time. And then as fitness kicks in later on at game, you can see us coming to game, but generally we're out at game, aren't we? We're always chasing after 20, 30 minutes. And you can't do that against top five teams, can you? We're going to lose more than we win if we're going in behind every game at half time, aren't we?
That's where I've got a little bit of a concern with. I said, how well we played on Thursday night, and the game plan seemed to go set for set with Saints. But like I said, have we really got big enough players to do that, to play that kind of game? So that's my worry, because I think it wasn't a performance where you could say, oh, we need to do this better, we need to do that better. Of course, you can always do things better, but I thought we executed the game plan pretty well. So for it not to work after executing it pretty well, it did work to a certain extent, but we didn't get the win. So that's my worry, is if we played that game another 10 times, what could we do better? Because I don't think we could have done much better, to be honest.
No. I mean, if we didn't concede that try, I don't think we should have conceded that first try, and we was unlucky with the one before half time, to be honest. There were a couple of dubious decisions leading up to that where you'd think, the one with Darnell where he blatantly got tackled in Eric corner, could have scored from that. That would have been our only attacking set of that half, really, wasn't it? I can't remember us being down at Saints line. Other than that, I think we spent the whole half camped on his own, own sticks and fighting his way out of there, sending a kick up, and then they were back down our end within a minute, weren't they? But defence-wise, you can't complain. It's best I've seen us defensively for a long time. But it's just meters, isn't it? We've got prop forwards like Bruno, Yates, good players, very good players, but the utility forwards, aren't they? They've not started as prop forwards. Bruno was in loose forward last year, had his best year for a long time, and then we move him to prop. To me, does he make enough meters at prop, as a starting prop? I'm not sure. Does Yates make enough meters? I'm not sure. Both tackling wise, defensively, they're absolutely brilliant. They put a lot of minutes in. But then you've got people like Jack Ashworth, who must have played about 10 minutes. So, we're really utilising as bench good enough if we've got, Bruno and Yates doing massive minutes and then bringing someone on for 10 minutes who ain't really making that much of an impact. I don't know. I've got to question that side of it personally.
I tend to agree. I thought defensive-wise, we've got the forwards to match any team in the league. We'll restrict everyone's yards. I thought we did a decent job on Alex Walmsley, to be fair, last Thursday. I thought he got up. Garrett seemed to take him on one-on-one a few times, and I think that was fair play to him. He knows he's our biggest forward, and I think he took him on, and that's what you need. But like I said, going forward, we do seem to struggle up down the middle. Then obviously having no centres out wide, we sort of had to go, didn't we, through the middle, and like I said, we just struggled to get out of his own half, which unfortunately I think killed us. Like I said, their second try, I think, what did they have, 5 back-to-back sets or something on our line? I think that was just too much pressure just for any team, not just Huddersfield, to handle.
But does that go back to your previous point, Nat, about if we are struggling to make meters up the middle, why don't we shift out wide and give it to the likes of Edwards, Jones, Wardle, Latelli, Leroy? And why don't we try that?
Yeah, say like when Jake Wardle's normally there, you'll see him coming in and he's got the good feet as Jake, where he'll step in and he'll beat a man, then get half a break, and then your Luke Yates and your Michael Lawrences will get off the back of that and they met yards then. But yeah, until you get the half break, where I think Josh Jones out wide could get you that half break early doors and then quick play the ball, and then we've got good enough forwards then who can get up and make yards and quick play balls, but you just need that first one to get you on a roll. And I think Thursday in the first half definitely we struggled with. I think Josh Jones could be the answer.
Just feels to me like we're trying to play a game plan and we don't have the players for it. But I could be wrong. We could turn it around and I'll be proven to be talking rubbish. Won't be the first time. But from my basic understanding of the game, I've never played the game to a high level as such. But just from what I see, I just don't think the squad that we've assembled can play this sort of attritional one-man rugby especially against these big sides.
No, I tend to agree. I think we've got a decent squad, and we've got a good squad when they can get in, and when Watson gets his ideas implemented in the team and gets how he wants to play the processes, then I do think we'll be a tough team to beat, a very tough team to beat. And I think we have got some decent forwards, I really do, and I just think we need that quick play of the ball, the edge, and I think, like I said, Josh Jones and Ken Edwards for me are the main, probably 2 forwards that will get you on a quick roll on, but we need to get the ball out wide. Props wise, I think Luke Yates and Michael Lawrence are 13. They agree with Jake. They're both very, very good players, but I think they'll lose forwards rather than prop forwards. But looks like we're going with an agile pack, doesn't it, rather than a big brute strength. I do think we have played probably the biggest set of forwards so far this year. I don't think you'll beat many bigger forwards than Hull FC, Catalan and St Helens. So my only worry was the way the forwards probably played in the first half against Hull KR. You can take being beaten the forwards with the other 3 because, like I said, they're probably the biggest set of forwards in Super League. Them 3 on Wigan are the big ones, I think, in the forwards, aren't they? So hopefully we'll start getting a bit more joy at the middle soon.
Do you think we have a concentration issue first 15 minutes? In most games?
I don't know what coach we have. Every coach we have seems to struggle to put a finger on it, don't they? We always seem to start slow. And I think it was one year, it might have been 3 or 4 years ago, that we went every game 12-0 down and we managed to win a couple and just lose. And it seems like we'd go 12-0 down and then we'd decide to think, all right, hey, let's start playing a bit of rugby now. And I think Paul Anderson had the issue, Rick Stone had the issue, Wolford had the issue. I think Ian Watson's having the same issue now. And I think once he can iron that out and he finds the issue and gets into it, then I think we can start the games well, and we won't be far off, and we'll definitely win more games than we lose.
Because I've not seen anything in us yet to suggest we can score lots of tries. I'm talking 6, 7, 8 tries in a game. I think we're good for 4. So if you're conceding 2 tries early on, it's a big ask, isn't it? If you can only realistically put 20, and as kicking's an issue as well. That needs sorting out because that's lost as a game, hasn't it? Really, as kicking. It's hard to put your finger on it, like you say. We've been doing this for years now, haven't we? Start so slow. I think we've, I'd say 90% of games we concede first, don't we? And usually when we do score first, we go on to win game. I always find. But you rarely see us go 2 tries down and then come behind and win. No matter who we play, really. I know we've done it a couple of times in the past, but we seem to lose that much energy by getting back in game. When it's a close game towards end of game, then we usually come up short, don't we? As soon as it comes down to a drop goal, again, it goes back to meters. It's like starting game again, and we have lack of meters always cost us, don't they? We can't get down to the other end of the field.
Well, I agree with you. I think that's what happened. Like I say, we went down early doors and we worked so hard to get back into the game, and I think we got ourselves in front and they put a simple kick up, and 999 times out of 1,000, Jerry collects the ball and probably backs us to score again on that set, the way we're rolling downfield every time, but obviously dropped it and OKR scored from it, put themselves back in front, and I think that, like I say, the momentum in rugby swung against us, didn't it? But Ian Watson, I believe his Salford side started slow too.
Yeah.
I think it's not a thing that obviously Ian Watson wants, but Ian Watson's all about fitness and that his fitness will prevail, and I think it's shown this year. We've won every second half we've played. No one's beat us in the second half. So I think we just need to start that bit quicker, not go 12-0 down after at half time.
I think difference is this year, though, there's a couple of other teams that are much better than that particular year. You've got Hull FC that look a much better team. Catalans, if we go that many points, I think they were 8 points behind top 5 when they started. I don't think we can afford to go 8 points, behind top 5 if we want to get in playoffs. I think that's unrealistic to make up, to be honest, this year. I think there's too many teams that have improved. But could be wrong,
I still fancy some playoffs, to be honest. I really
we'll do some predictions shortly, won't we? So, guys, do you think potentially one man may solve both of your issues there, the number 13 and the lack of sort of impact strike, and someone that we've not really seen yet is Joe Greenwood? Do you think maybe when he's back to fitness, whenever that's going to be, do you think he maybe makes that impact that you guys are looking for potentially?
Yeah. He's back this week, isn't he? He was suspended once. He's not. I don't think he's been injured. I wasn't impressed with him, to be honest. Was it first game or second game he got sent off? I wasn't that impressed, to be honest. But he's a good player. We know he's played for Wigan. He's been over to Australia. We're good at St Helens. Potentially, but it depends where do we play him. I mean, we're playing him in second row, won't we? So that I don't think that solves us a prop and loose forward issue. I think Greenwood comes in on bench, doesn't he, instead of probably Oliver Wilson or Owen Trout in game before.
Yeah, I think Greenwood in time. I'm confident he'll be a good player for us. As Jake said, he's not got off to the best of starts, especially with the sending off, which. He needs games, and obviously being on the sidelines not going to help you do that. But I do believe, but again, may prove him wrong, but I do believe he'll be a good player for us. But I'm not sure he's not a monster meter maker. He's more similar to what we've got, really, which may be part of the problem. We've got too many players that are too similar to each other.
I'll put this website in the bin then that says he's injured. Right, so Josh, you said a little bit earlier on that we lack a reliable goal kicker. Do you mean sort of in-game sort of field position, or do you mean sort of between the sticks at the points, or both?
I was talking about conversions between the sticks. It's been a problem since Danny Brough left, really. So many games. Even last week, the Hull KR game, we scored one more try than them, and we lost the game. And that's not the first time that's happened in the last 3-4 years. And it's infuriating because some teams, you score a try in the corner, it's 6 points. We score a try that's sort of between the sticks and the touch line, which is sort of like an easy kick, like a kickable. And we're sort of thinking, well, are we not going to kick this? And when it comes to the end of the game, it does make a massive difference having that goal kicker. I think our kicking in general play, it was improved against Saints, but still, I think they showed you how to kick during that game. But obviously, not having a recognised fullback does make that easier for them in terms of Gaskell's positioning may make it easier for the likes of Lomax and Farge to find the grass. But yeah, my main point was about the lack of goal kicker. But if we don't have a goal kicker in the squad, then there's not a lot we can do about that, really.
I think we do have a few though, don't we? I mean, Darnell, if you watch some of the videos the Giants post on Instagram, he's nailing conversions down at Lockwood. And even Gavitt's kicked a few as well. No, in all seriousness, I think I'd go with Darnell. I mean, you've got to stick with one and give him a chance now, because we seem to chop and change too often, don't we? I mean, to me, I wouldn't have let Caesar kick the last 2 games. He's just come back from injury. I think that was a pretty silly decision, really. If he's had a bit of an injury with his calf, why put him kicking conversions straight away? It's clearly not right to do so. He's missed what did he miss the other day? 5 out of 6, something like that. It's
kick one from the touchline, but the others
pretty poor, yeah.
That's it. I think Caesar's the goal kicker, but tend to agree with Jake. Maybe wasn't the greatest thing to put him in his first game back, but I do think now he's fit and the more he gets it, I think he'll start to land more than he misses. I think I heard when he first came over and Wolford said something when he were here that he had something like an 88-90% success rate in Australia when he was kicking. But obviously he had it kicked for a few years because obviously we're at Canberra and they've got Jared Croker who probably has a 95% ratio, so he didn't kick at Canberra, but he has kicked in NRL. And I think when he did a full season, he was at 88%. So I think he proves he can kick, but like I said, I think once he gets fit properly, his in-play kicking will come on. He was a bit quiet in the first half at OKR when he first came back, and even the commentators were questioning, is he fit, is he not, are we rushed him back? But I think he's slowly getting more involved. I think Cogger's kicking game's coming on. I think that's definitely improved from the Leeds friendly to the St Helens game. I think Caesar's goal kicking, I think it will pick up now. He's starting to get fit, and hopefully his forwards can score a few 100 sticks and make it a bit easier for him.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing Chris Foreman mention online quite a few times that Jake Wardle can kick, goals from both feet at either side. I've not seen anything in his ability yet to kick, to suggest he's a long-term, goal kicker. But saying that he has kicked some good, he has put some good ones over as well. Yeah. But again, we don't seem to stick with someone, do we? It seems to be someone different every other week.
Well, I jumped the gun with that one with Jake Wardle in the Lee Challenge Cup game, because he kicked one from the touchline the first try, and I was like, "Wow, we've found a goal kicker here." And then as the game went on, he just got gradually worse, and by the end of the game, he was awesome. So yeah,
I'd throw Leroy. I've seen Leroy take kicks before, so there's plenty of options in there, isn't there, as well? So. If he's fit, one person that's leaving the club is Ollie Ashelbot. Josh, seems it's just a short loan to Wakefield.
Yeah, well, it's a 2-week loan, so he won't have much chance to settle in and get to know his teammates if it's only 2 weeks.
Is that due to injuries? Is it that he's going there? Wakefield picked up a few injuries, because I just don't see where he's going to fit in really when they've got Ryan Hampshire and some other fullbacks they've got. Max Jowett, where's he going to play?
Yeah, possibly must be due to injuries, because 2 weeks is sort of, that suggests it's like an emergency signing for them. So maybe we'll find out about injuries for Wakefield. But strange one, because Gaskell's playing at fullback at the moment. He's not a fullback. Darnell's not a fullback, which leaves him as the only, if he is fit, which he must be to be going out on loan, the only fit number one that we've got. So bit strange. Maybe Watson just doesn't fancy him.
Going back to the Wakefield issue, Jake, I think Max Jowett played fullback for them on Friday night, and I think he went off injured with an head knock.
See,
I remember I was just getting home. I didn't watch the first half. I got on for the second half, and I think they said he'd failed his HII, so he wasn't coming back. So I think maybe he's having to rest up. So, but for me, I'm a bit baffled by it myself. Like I say, we brought him in on a 1-year deal because his main fullback Ashton Golding got injured. He played the Leeds game. He got injured himself, but you're paying him money on a 1-year deal. You'd think that if our fullback's injured, he'd be the one to step up and play. But now we've loaned him out. So, two things: is he just going to Wakefield to get match fit to come back and play for us, or is Ashton Golding not far off returning? But I've not heard anything on Ashton. So
yeah, well, no, I mean I've heard various bits that he might be out for a little while longer. To me, going to Wakefield hopefully suggests that Golding's nearing fitness. If he's not, it is a bit baffling, like you say. He's a fullback, but I think at the moment, we won't dare put him in this game. Gaskell played all right against OKR. Weren't too impressed with him against St Helens. He did sometimes looks as though he daren't take a tackle. He slows down running into the line. Sometimes looks a bit uncomfortable catching the ball. Right. Yeah, I can't remember what point I was making then.
I feel like with Gaskell, he'll score you a try and he'll cost you a try. So that in the whole OKR game, I mean, very fortunate that was disallowed. Is that the OKR one where he?
Yeah. They were very fortunate, and I think they were unlucky to have another try as well on the OKR. So all in all, I don't think we deserved to win that game, to be honest with you.
And then Saints did it to Gaskell as well.
Yeah.
On Thursday night, the exact same thing. You know, if you put a high kick near him and you got someone that can catch, he ain't gonna get it.
Yeah.
I imagine that being a plan for Leeds on Sunday, that they'll put it up, and Ashton played fullback last Friday, so I presume he'll play fullback again, and he's 6'2", 6'3", he's a tall lad, so
very quick as well.
He's running and jumping at Gaskell, and Gaskell don't get off the ground like he did at St Helens, and could be in for a long afternoon. Like I say, going forward, I don't mind him at fullback. You have that third half back on the pitch, helps John Cogger out, but defensive wise, he's got to start jumping for the ball, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Contest him, not dive like he's
I think if Watson took the risk this week and put Ashall Bott in at fullback and took Gaskell out, we're either going to have to go a forward light on bench and put Gaskell on bench like we did in the Hull KR game. And if Bott goes off injured after 20 minutes, or he makes a few errors that cost us game early on, he's going to come under a lot of criticism into Watson. Then with 5 games down, I don't think he could take that risk of it next 2 games. To be honest with you. I think we're going to have to go with a spine that we've had for the last 2 weeks. Otherwise, I think if we lose, then that's I think playoffs done, isn't it? If we lose his next 2 games.
Okay, so that's the Huddersfield St Helens game in a nutshell from you guys. I thought it would be quite good to have our thoughts on our pre-season, maybe. How the squad's coming along. Firstly, Ian Watson appointed as the new coach. For me, this was a real sign of ambition, really, from Huddersfield. It was a real sort of eye catcher, if you like, a headline maker, if you like. I'll come up with more analogies, if you like. But for me, the last couple of appointments, maybe sort of. It really felt like the Giants were just sort of bobbing along in Super League, really, without any real thoughts of getting into that top 5. But all of a sudden, you appoint someone like Ian Watson and the signings start coming in, and it really excited me more this pre-season than any really for years. I would say some of the players come in, look good on paper. How did you guys see this sort of coup, if you like, for Ian Watson and some of the players that he's brought in? We'll go with you, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, big signing for us, probably bigger than all the players we've signed. I remember watching a podcast with Craig Harrison, the agent, a while ago, and said he can persuade players to join the club. Some coaches can't. I couldn't ever imagine Rick Stone being able to pick up the phone to an English player, and persuade him to join Giants. But you can just tell Watson's got something about him. Even when you're listening to him after games, you buy into what he's saying. Whereas sometimes with Simon Wolford, I didn't believe a word he was saying. After the game, I just think, same old. But it gets you to buy in, doesn't he, Watson? He knows his stuff. You can tell, you see what he's trying to do. Players he's brought in. I don't think we'd have been able to bring them players in if he wasn't here. To be honest with you, we'd have been lucky to get 2 of them. Maybe we'd have probably still had some players that we had last year. Jordan Turner was doing quite well at Castleford. We were very quiet in pre-season. We didn't build ourselves up like we have done in previous years, which I think were good. We've kept under radar. And then obviously as seasons progressed, when you've heard about certain players, that when it comes to Jake Wardle not being selected in first game, in the year, he's had an up and down pre-season, in and out. And I think it's same for quite a few players, it sounds of it, so I'm not so sure how good of a pre-season we've had, because we seem to have had a lot of players in and out. So time will tell, won't it? I mean, Golding's missed all the pre-season. We've had different people playing fullback in pre-season training at fullback. I've heard good stuff about Leon Price, as some will. He's meant to be flying. Will it be long before we see him? Watson made a real emphasis on mentioning younger players in pre-season, didn't he? He mentioned Fenton Rodgers, Kieran Rush, I think.
It was the video that went viral about with Aidan McGowan's tackle as well, which was a another one. Aidan McGowan. I think future's bright. Really, I think we've got to be patient. Sometimes I'm a hothead, I must admit. During a game, I'll be like, I'll say something outrageous sometimes, but it's through passion. It's not through
think we have a lot of fans at the Giants that are just happy to saunter along as well. You know, you read Facebook and it could be 10 games in, 10 losses, and they'll be like, oh, well, on to next week, back the boys, you know. And I get that, but you're in it to win, aren't you? You know, that's why I liked Danny Brough so much, because you could tell he hates to lose. Absolutely hates to lose.
On a rugby pitch I've ever seen Danny Brough.
Exactly.
I love the guy. That was great.
But can you say any of the current crop of players we've got have that sort of attitude where they hate to lose? You know, you see some of them, and yeah, I know they like to lose. You know, they want to win, but you could tell with Broughy it meant a lot to him. You know, certain games where he'd just fallen short, and you could just see in his face, you know, he were really angry. You know, it'd probably take him a few hours to calm down after the game.
Sin bins as well, maybe.
Yeah, and I think we do lack one of them sort of characters in the team. You know, somebody that can cheer boys up. You know, yeah, that's my views really.
We have been accused of maybe being too nice in the past. These, you know, they're good blokes, all the players at the club. We maybe do lack that sort of mongrel type of player. Kenny Edwards can be getting people's faces quite a bit, which you know, sometimes works for us, sometimes works against us. I've seen Josh Jones in the past. He won't take a backward step, but we don't. But maybe rugby league's changed a bit since, you know, the days of Darryl Griffin, Keith Mason sort of players. I was watching a clip the other day when they had that massive brawl at Wigan. But that kind of stuff, they just don't stand for it anymore. You just get sent off. So maybe like you say, the sort of Danny Brough type, where you don't necessarily lead with your fists, but you showed his passion and desire to win, and that can come out in other forms as well. You know, it's not, you don't have to just be the loudest or, you know, the angriest, but maybe sometimes we are a bit too nice. I'm not sure, but I'm sure they tell you different.
Nathaniel, how did you see pre-season going, and do you think there's maybe a little bit of space maybe for that mongrel, maybe in the prop that we look, you know, that maybe the strike prop that we could do with?
Yeah, I thought the pre-season, you know, they seemed to go pretty well. The players were all positive, weren't they, when they were talking out in the media? And like I said, the HJC, we had a couple of players on, Luke Yates, James Cunningham, and they were all very positive of what they were saying about Ian Watson. I think the biggest signing person was Greg Brown. We've been lacking that guy to get us fit. We've had a few different men in and out of the club, I think, and Greg, we won the League Leaders Shield last time Greg Brown were around, so I think he's the biggest sign we probably made in the off-season to get him fit. And I like what Ian Watson's doing by he's not rushing people back. You know, he'll wait till they're fully fit, so they make sure they stay back. We've got to remember we've had a few injuries, haven't we, to start the season with as well. So, like Jay was saying in pre-season, you know, Ashton got injured, and I saw Buck train there for a couple of weeks, and he got injured against Leeds in the pre-season game after 5 minutes. So, been chucking and swapping at fullback, haven't they? And that's a key area. So, I think Watson and Greg Brown were two very good signings for us. I agree with what you said yourself. It's to go out and get someone like that. I thought we were the best coach in the league when he was at Salford. To do what he did at Salford, I think were an amazing achievement from him and his staff. So, I'm pretty excited to start the season. I thought we've got a good coach here. We've got some decent players. It could be the year we start to move back up the league. It's not turned out that for the first 4 games, but I've still got faith that it will. Forwards, I thought James Gavitt would be that man, to be honest. He's a big man. He had a good reputation back in New Zealand. When you speak to when I spoke to the likes of Sui Matagi, you know, Kuma Matai were no longer with us. They were telling me, you know, he's a big angry man. He can be, but like Jay said earlier, he's not. Don't think he's that man. He's had a better year this year than he did last year, but yeah, I'd like to see that big nasty prop forward come in and spark us up a bit.
A bit like Ika Hihifo was a couple of years ago when he was outstanding for a while, wasn't he?
When he first came over, like say he was the one bouncing off tackles, and the fans would lift the atmosphere and get behind him, and I think we do like that big nasty man in the middle that, like you said, Luke O'Donnell, if you were struggling and you were down, he'd fly out the line and smash someone and make something happen and lift the team money, and it might be illegal what he did, but he still lifted it up, you know, start a bit of a fight, get tempers flared, get them all for it, but we don't seem to have anyone doing that. But like Josh says, I suppose you chuck a punch these days, you're red carded and you're banned for the next 3 games. That's probably why it don't happen anymore.
So prediction-wise, I thought it might be quite fun to throw some predictions in, and then when we get them all wrong, people can laugh at us and tell us that we know nothing about rugby, which is all the fun of the fair, isn't it? So I thought a top 5 and a grand final winner would be a good way to start things. Anybody want to volunteer there to go first? I think they'll all be very similar in all fairness. Shall I go first?
Go.
Quite ready?
Yeah, go on.
Right, so I've gone first St Helens, second Wigan, but Wigan to actually win the grand final. Third place I've got Warrington, fourth Hull. I probably wouldn't have said this at the start of the season, but I saw them and it's Reynolds, isn't it? The new halfback they've got looks pretty special. So I think they look pretty decent. And the last place I'm umming and ahhing between Catalans and Castleford, and I'm going to go for Catalan Dragons this year because I am on the sly a bit of an expansionist, and I would like to see Catalan build on the Challenge Cup final success and maybe just take it one step further and do rather well. And I've got Huddersfield to come 7th. How about so? We'll go with who wants to go next?
I'll go next if no one else wants. Yeah, I've got Saints top. Wigan second. I think those two. There's quite a gap between those two and the rest. I've got Saints to win the grand final. And then I'll probably go Hull FC. Brett Hodgson seems to be a good coach so far. He's had a good start. And if he's half the coach he was a player, he won't be bad. Fourth, I'll probably go with we'll go with Catalan. I think, like Matt said, they are always there or thereabouts. And then fifth, I'm looking at Cass and Warrington, and both coaches know that they're leaving at the end of the season. Will that have an effect? We've seen it have an effect here before, but I probably will go Warrington for fifth. I think they'll be up and down, but I think they'll win enough games to get fifth. And then sixth, I'd go maybe Castleford, or maybe we can sneak sixth. I think we'll be sixth or seventh.
I think we need some positivity, so I'm going to go to Nathaniel next.
Yeah, I'll back us for top 5. I reckon we'll turn it around. Beat Leeds on Sunday, and I think we'll turn it around. Saints, Wigan 1-2. I agree with Josh. I think them two are miles clear from everyone else in this league at the minute. I actually fancy Wigan to win it this year. Jackson Hastings to go off in style before he goes back home. Jai Field when he gets fit. I think he'll be back before the end of the season. Just Bevan French, he's 2 tries in his first game, so I think Wigan are the class outfit this year. Saints, obviously, they'll be up there with him. Hull, I'm impressed with Hull so far. I said they'll get third. Warrington spend a lot of money, don't they? So should imagine they'll be up there. You can't have the attacking players like Ratchford, Austin, Widdop, Dow Clark and not be up challenging for honours. So I think they'll be in and around it. And then, like I say, I'll back us to beat Leeds on Sunday and get up the table and start moving, and we'll snatch fifth. And then, like I said, Catalan Castleford into sixth to get the final playoff spot.
I like it. Well, I thought when Josh put this sort of panel together, he said Jake and Nathaniel, they never agree on anything. So I want to, so far, you two guys have agreed on pretty much everything. So, Jake, will the Giants make the top 5?
I'd like to tell you after the next 2 games. For me, it's I think if we win the next 2 games, yes, I think we will. I think if we lose these next 2 games, absolutely not. No way on earth. Like you say, St Helens will finish top. I think they'll get enough points early doors to lead League of Shield. They'll the intensity of the play. I don't know if they can keep that up all year. At some point, they're going to go. They're going to get a few injuries. They've got a pretty much a fully fit squad at the moment, aren't they? I think there are only a couple of names missing against us. Wigan have got a few injuries, but they seem to be grinding out wins. They've got like Liam Marshall to come back and a few other players, Gildart, and a few others. I think, like Nathan says, I think I could see them winning it at back end of the year when they get the players back. So I think it'll be a Saints-Wigan grand final, without a doubt. I've not been that impressed with Warrington, I must admit. You see weaknesses in like Warrington, they just don't look good, but then they had a good win at weekend away at Catalan, didn't they? Catalan have looked pretty good until then. I think it'll be between Hull and Catalan for third and fourth. I won't like to say who'd get third, to be honest. And then I think we've got an outside chance of fifth. Like I say, if we win his next 2 games, I think if we drop points, we're just too far behind. Castleford, I think they'll struggle back end of the year. I think they'll get a few more injuries. You know, they started well, but they always seem to, you know, die off, don't they, the last few years? They get points on board and then they go through a massive patch where they can't buy a point, really, apart from when they play us.
Wooden Spoon, I've gone for Lee. Nothing against Leeds Insurance. It's a bit of it was a tough promotion, wasn't it, with COVID, etc. And they didn't exactly set the championship on fire last year. So I thought it'd be a tough baptism for them, and they'll do well to not finish bottom. You guys agree with that? I would think that might be a
I think Lee will be opening the rumours today. True, there's no relegation, so rumours are flying no relegation. I think Lee will be the team opening fight. If you take Lee out of it, I think Wakefield will struggle. I think they're not that good, are they? So let's be honest. But I think Kulkar play with enough effort and commitment every week and always give teams a game. So I think they'll find enough to make us stay up. Salford will come good when Richard Marshall, like say, he's like Ian Watson, new coach. But yeah, Lee are there. I know they put up a good effort against Wigan first game, didn't they? We're probably unlucky to lose, but since then I think they've conceded at least 30 points every game, and it's not going to get any easier this week when they play St Helens. So.
Well, to be honest with you, though, Saints are renowned for resting half the squad, aren't they? I think last year against London, both times were leading up to cup games, wasn't it? And they rested pretty much everyone, didn't they? And pretty much fruit game against London. I can see them doing the same against us week before. You know, we've given them a tough game last week. They'll probably think, you know, we won't play Alex Walmsley, we won't play Lachlan Coote, won't play Lomax in case they get an injury for the week after. You know, I think they'll rest a lot of players this week. I can see them getting turned over, but I think that'll be only win League get all year, to be honest. Can't see them picking up more than a couple of wins.
I've actually picked St Helens for my Challenge Cup winner, believe it or not.
Right.
Who have you guys gone for it as well? And you can jump in with that point, Josh. As
well. Warrington for me. And I agree with you. They've not looked impressive this year, but there's something about Warrington at Challenge Cup. They always seem to perform, don't they? So they get any. I can't remember they're going in the quarterfinals now. I don't think it's anyone in the top teams. So I think they'll make it through to the semi-finals, and you know, you're two 80-minute games away, aren't you, from winning it? So yeah, I'll go Warrington.
Josh?
The Challenge Cup, I'd probably go. I can't say Saints because we're going to turn them over in a couple of weeks. So I think Wigan. I think it'd be Wigan's year this year. Not sure why. Just got a feeling.
And as the opposite to me, I looked at St Helens and Wigan and thought these two, they've got to win something, these two. So I'll give one and then the other. So you've done the opposite, haven't you? But with the same club.
Yeah. I can't go for Saints and everything. Although I do think they're the best team, but I think Wigan will find a way to win some silverware this season.
I think if we beat Saints, they give us half a chance of winning it. I think
definitely.
Saints, and if we can get over Saints in 2 weeks, I'll tip us to win it.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
I'm going to go with us in Challenge Cup. I think I can't see us doing all in League, to be honest, but I think we might have a good Challenge Cup run, and I think if we beat St Helens, which I think we might do in a couple of weeks, you know, we're building ready, and if we can win that game, I think it gives us a good chance. You know, I think we handle likes of Wigan better than, you know, likes of St Helens. They don't have as, you know, the pack's not as big. I think we'll deal with, you know, Wigan, Warrington. I think we've got better chances of beating them teams if we can get past St Helens.
Right, date for your diaries. 16th of July. We'll do a live podcast from Wembley before the cup final.
That'd be great. Hopefully they'll let fans back in at that point, and we'll all be there. Promoted from the Championship. I know Nath's just said that they might be stopped this year, but who would you see as the ones to come up if they do allow promotion? I've picked Toulouse. It's more wishful thinking. I think I'd love to see Toulouse and Catalan in the Super League. I think that would really help build the game in the south of France and beyond over there. What about you guys? Featherstone, they really wanted to get promoted, and they've made a good start as well. Some good clubs looking down the Championship. Who have you gone for? Or who would you go for?
I think I'd go for Toulouse. I mean, although Halifax ran them close yesterday, there's been some cracking games in Championship this far. Batley looked good. they're giving teams, you know, all sorts of problems. But I'd have to go with Toulouse. Look strong this year, especially at home. I think they'll win most of their home games, and you know they're picking up away wins as well already. Like I say, Featherstone look good as well, but yeah, back to Toulouse.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
I'll go different. I'll back Featherstone.
Featherstone. Oh, so 3-2.
To lose a full time. I think they probably have the best squad, and like I said, a full time rather than part time, aren't they? But I don't know. Featherstone with the likes of Tom Holmes and Brett Ferris, they've had Super League experience, big games. Yeah, I'll back Featherstone to do it.
It's looking a great league to watch. There's some really good clubs in there, progressive clubs as well. You know, Sheffield have started well, haven't they, as well? They're quite high up. And York have been a real club to watch over the last couple of years, and the way that they do things differently, the marketing, and Gavin Wilson does a great job there as well, doesn't he? He's great to follow online, he's Gavin as well.
Newcastle's a team I like to watch down there. They've got, obviously, following. I also do a bit of work with Giants for the academy team, and normally run our social media for the academy team. So last 2-3 years I've been to the home and away games of them, and you see these young lads playing, and a few of them from like Wigan and Widnes have gone up to Newcastle to play, like the Chapel brothers and Josh Woods from Wigan and Shorrocks from Wigan. They've Mikey Wood, who's played, obviously Ukuma Tai with some experience. And with them young lads, it's always good to see how they go in the Championship. So I always enjoy watching them, to be honest.
It's high scoring games as well at the moment. You know, I think I saw something about a TV deal today for Championship. I might have misread that on Twitter, but you know, it'd be good to get some of them games on more often for general public. You know, rather than streaming, which not everyone can do. You what? Sorry.
Premier Sports.
Sports, right? Yeah, I mean, it'd be good that. I mean, there's some cracking games so far. You know, two sides scoring over 30 points. You know, I think it's a good advertisement for game. Full stop.
I look forward to that. And one thing as well we can look forward to is the game this weekend at Leeds Rhinos. So a couple of things that I've picked up online is injuries. There's been some injuries for both sides. Leeds believe they might have a couple back. We may see our old friends Cruz Leeming and Alex Mellor as well. So how do you see this game going, Nathaniel?
I'll back us to win it. I think if you put Leeds' strongest 17 and Huddersfield's strongest 17 together, they're probably two evenly matched teams. I think that showed last year, you know. I mean, I know we chucked away a big lead the first time, but there were two cracking games, probably as neutrals to watch. Evenly matched, separated by a drop goal each time. But they've a few out. I know Myler's been suspended today for 2 games. Tevano suspended. Obviously, Luke Gale's still missing for them. Hopefully, we'll get at least one of our 3 centres back in team. I'm not ready if they're back or out, but we can get one of his strike centres back out wide, and Caesar's had a couple of games under his belt now, and like Jake said, the spine will be working. Obviously, 3rd game in a row, the spine now. So, yeah, I'll say Huddersfield by 10.
It's sold me the positivity. Jake, do you agree? Do you think this is the time to get the first win?
It's got to be, hasn't it? If we do, I think, if we can't beat a side who's got the first choice to halves out, the first choice fullback, we've got no excuses, and Ashton Golden's out. We've got no excuses this game. I think Nathaniel said that to me earlier in the week. We've got no excuses whatsoever. You've got an excuse to lose to St Helens, haven't you? They're the best side in the league. Got no excuses this week. We've got to win. Simple as that. Hurrell seems to be back again. He misses so many games, but yet always seems to be back for Giants. And he's a big problem for us. We seem to struggle with players like that, don't we? Big players. I think if we can get him, get his defence sorted like it was last week, don't give him room to run close to the line, I think we should win.
Josh?
Yeah, just touch on that point there, the Conrad Hurrell thing. Players like him, Paulie, Sam Cassiano, Fafita at Wakefield, we just cannot deal with those kind of players. We really struggle to get our arms on the ball and stop them offloading. So I'm sure it will cause us problems, but I'm still backing us to get the win. I'm as optimistic as you can be supporting the Huddersfield team in anything. But I think if we turn up with the same concentration and intensity as we did against Saints, I think scoring the first try, we've touched on that earlier, the slow starts. If we get the first try, I'll be very confident that we can get the win. But as it is, I'm cautiously optimistic. We had I saw there was a team huddle on the pitch at the end of the Saints game, which is, I'd like to see that, because it shows they're not just all played the game, we're all walk off, go home, drive home in our own cars kind of thing. It's sort of like, okay, let's keep our heads up. We lost the game, but there was a lot of positives there, and I think Caesar was saying that to the boys. So I think we're looking to bring the same intensity into that game, and I think we can get the 2 points.
I think this will be a tight and nervy one, especially with both teams really wanting to win this to further their top 5 claims. I'm going to say that Huddersfield will just sneak this one. For me, I think if we're leading going into the second half, that will make a big difference. Whereas if we're chasing, it's really a matter of, do we have the means to break down a stubborn defence? And we do. Aidan Caesar's, top class. But it's perhaps just not clicking, and maybe there's something mentally there which might see Leeds keepers out. But if we go into that second half, level or up, I fancy us, and I'm gonna go for a tight and nervy Giants win. So that's a clean sweep, and as for clean sweeps, that I think that brings us to the close of our first podcast. Let us know on social media how you think it went. Should we bother continuing? Who knows? But any other business from you chaps, or are we happy to call that an evening?
I'll blow the whistle there. No golden point.
No golden point. You've been listening to Chasing Kangaroos, haven't you? Or is it?
No.
Which one is the Super League one? It's the Sky Sports one who does the golden point.
Oh, no, must be great minds think alike.
Yeah. There we go.
Just something for me, actually. You said you have no one to go to games with. Give me a shout. We've been to quite a few myself before.
There we go. I've got a friend. Amazing.
Yeah, so give us a shout.
Brilliant.
It's at top of Cowbell Army, so give us a shout if you want to join us.
I'll bring the earmuffs for the cowbell. Right, guys. Thank you very much for that. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Nathaniel. Thanks, Josh. And this will be hopefully we'll be back next week celebrating a win for the Giants.